Hello and welcome back to our online English class. Today we are going to do lessons C and D of Unit 9. So go ahead and open your students' books to page 114. Page 114. Okay, so for lesson C, we're going to learn about connectors. Okay, and you can see here that connectors are words at the beginning of a sentence or clause. Of course, connectors can be at the beginning of the sentence or in the middle of the sentence, depending on whether the clause comes at the beginning or at the end. So, if you look at this example, it says, since the Earth is getting warmer, the polar ice caps are melting. So in this case, the clause is at the beginning of the sentence. So, of course, you can see since at the beginning. But in this case, since the Earth is getting warmer, the clause is at the end, so the connector is in the middle, and the main clause is at the beginning. So the polar ice caps are melting since the Earth is getting warmer. Okay, and then for the connector of effect or a result, we put it at the end. So you can see here that in both cases, we use so in the middle because the effects clause comes at the end of the sentence. So I'm going to go ahead and play the grammar lesson so you can watch and then we will practice. Okay?
Connectors. Unit 9, Lesson C. Since and so. Watch and listen. Connectors are words at the beginning of a sentence or clause. Use the connector since to introduce a clause that provides a cause or reason for something. You can also show cause or reason by replacing the connector since with because. Connector of cause or reason, since.
Since the Earth is getting warmer, the polar ice caps are melting.
The polar ice caps are melting since the Earth is getting warmer.
Connector of cause or reason, since.
Since we're cutting down the rainforests, harmful gases are increasing.
Harmful gases are increasing since we're cutting down the rainforests.
When the connector begins the sentence, use a comma at the end of the cause or reason clause. Watch and listen. Connectors are words at the beginning of a sentence or clause. Use the connector so to introduce a clause that provides the effect or the result of something. You can also show an effect or result by replacing the connector so with therefore. Connector of effect or result, so.
The Earth is getting warmer, so the polar ice caps are melting.
When the connector is so, use a comma before it. Connector of effect or result, so.
We're cutting down the rainforests, so harmful gases are increasing.
When the connector is so, use a comma before it. Check your understanding. Look at the picture and read the sentence. Pay attention to the highlighted connector. Is the underlined clause showing cause, a reason, or effect, a result? Listen.
The Earth is getting warmer, so the polar ice caps are melting.
B. So indicates an effect or a result. Look at the picture and read the sentence. Pay attention to the highlighted connector. Is the underlined clause showing cause, a reason, or effect, a result? Listen.
Harmful gases are increasing since we're cutting down the rainforests.
A. Since indicates a cause or a reason. Check your understanding. Look at the picture and the four connectors. Read the sentence. Only one of the connectors can be used to complete the effect, result clause. Which one? Choose the correct connector and read the sentence out loud. Now listen to the sentence.
We are cutting down the rainforests, so harmful gases are increasing.
Look at the picture and the four connectors. Read the sentence. Two of the connectors can be used to complete the cause, reason clause. Which two? Choose the first correct connector and read the sentence. Choose the second correct connector and read the sentence. Now listen to the sentences.
Towns near oceans are in danger of flooding because the sea level is rising.
Towns near oceans are in danger of flooding since the sea level is rising.
Let's review. Connectors are words at the beginning of a sentence or clause. Use the connector since to introduce a cause, reason clause. Use the connector so to introduce an effect, result clause. Connector of cause.
Since the Earth is getting warmer, the polar ice caps are melting.
The polar ice caps are melting since the Earth is getting warmer.
Connector of effect.
The Earth is getting warmer, so the polar ice caps are melting.
The Earth is getting warmer, so the seawater is getting warmer.
Okay, so now let's look at exercise 2, practice. It says combine the sentences. Okay, use the connectors in parentheses. So let's look at number 1 together. There is a buildup of harmful gases in the atmosphere. Global warming is increasing. Okay, and then we need to use since, which is a cause clause. A cause clause. Okay, it's kind of hard to say because it rhymes, but this one is cause and this one is clause. So cause clause. It's like a tongue twister. You can also say reason clause. That's a lot easier. So we have to say, since there is a buildup of harmful gases in the atmosphere, global warming is increasing. So we see that the cause clause comes at the beginning, but of course you can also put it at the end. So you can say global warming is increasing since there is a buildup of harmful gases in the atmosphere. Okay, now you might have noticed this already, but we can switch the sentences and use a results clause instead of a cause clause, but the meaning remains the same. So, for example, we can say, there is a buildup of harmful gases in the atmosphere, so global warming is increasing. Okay, so as you can see, we can do that for result clauses and cause clauses. We can switch them, switch the connector, and make the meaning the same, but you have to put the connector at the other part of the sentence. So you'll see, you'll know what I mean. So let's look at number 2. Okay, now in this case we need to use a result clause. We have to use so. Okay, so it will come at the end of the sentence. Okay, and the connector will be in the middle, of course. So we can say, warm water is expanding in the oceans, so the sea level is rising. Okay, and as I mentioned, we can switch the result clause to a reason clause, a cause clause. So we can say, since warm water is expanding in the ocean, the sea level is rising. Okay, or we can say the sea level is rising since warm water is expanding in the oceans. Okay, so go ahead and take some time to do the rest of this exercise, and you can pause the video and continue when you're finished. Okay, now I'm going to play the audio answers so you can check your answers.
Page 114, Exercise 2A.
1.
Since there is a buildup of harmful gases in the atmosphere, global warming is increasing.
2.
Warm water is expanding in the oceans, so the sea level is rising.
3.
Since the sea level is rising, towns near oceans are in danger of flooding.
4.
Since global warming changes weather patterns, many places will have less rainfall.
5.
The mosquito population will increase, so there will be an increase in diseases like malaria.
6.
Since the ocean water is getting warmer, typhoons and hurricanes are becoming more frequent.
7.
Cities are growing, so many plants and animals may lose their natural habitats.
Okay, I just noticed that the audio answer used so. So I think the answer was cities are growing, so many plants and animals may lose their natural habitats. Of course, that's correct. But if you use since, as it says here, then you can say, since cities are growing, many plants and animals may lose their natural habitats. Or, of course, you can say many plants and animals may lose their habitats since cities are growing. Okay, let's continue.
8. Summer temperatures will continue to rise, so there will be longer periods of no rain and increased days of very high temperatures.
Okay. Now, just for practice, I want you to go ahead and change each of the connectors to the opposite connector. So I already practiced this one with you. Instead of so, I used since, and then even in the answer, you saw that they used so instead of since. So I want you to do the same thing for numbers 3, 4, 5, 6, and 8. Okay, so I think that's 5 sentences. So you can pause the video and continue when you're finished. Okay, so let's look at number 3. Instead of since, we're going to use so. Okay, so the sea level is rising, so towns near oceans are in danger of flooding. Okay, and then number 4, instead of so, we will use since. Since global warming changes weather patterns, many places will have less rainfall, or many places will have less rainfall since global warming changes weather patterns. Number 5, we're going to use since instead of so. Since the mosquito population will increase, there will be an increase in diseases like malaria, or there will be an increase in diseases like malaria since the mosquito population will increase. Number 6, instead of since, we will use so. The ocean water is getting warmer, so typhoons and hurricanes are becoming more frequent. Okay, and then let's skip to number 8. Okay, we're going to use since. Since summer temperatures will continue to rise, there will be longer periods of no rain and increased days of very high temperatures. Or, of course, you can say, there will be longer periods of no rain and increased days of very high temperatures since summer temperatures will continue to rise. And I think we are experiencing that for sure. It has been so hot each summer over the past few years. But interestingly, so far this summer has been okay, and maybe it's because there have been fewer cars due to the coronavirus. So maybe this summer will be less hot. We'll see. My fingers are crossed. And by the way, fingers crossed is a phrase that means I really hope so. Okay, so whenever you hear someone say fingers crossed, it means I really hope so. Okay, anyway, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next page. So page 115 in your student's book. Okay, so let's look at exercise B. Talk with a partner. Combine sentences in different ways using the connectors since, because, therefore, and so. Okay, so now I actually want you to look at the useful language box because you probably, or you might have already noticed this, but because can replace since. Okay, so let's look here real quick. Since people are building homes in forests, animals are losing their natural habitats. Okay, and you can replace since with because. Okay, so you can say because people are building homes in forests, animals are losing their natural habitats. And the same, you can see the same sentence in B, but this time the cause clause is at the end. So you can see because here. Animals are losing their natural habitats because people are building homes in forests. You can also say since people are building homes in forests. Same thing. And then therefore can replace so. Okay? So let's try that for the first sentence. We can say people are building homes in forests. Therefore, animals are losing their natural habitats. But look at this note here. It says use a semicolon before therefore and a comma after it. So you can see this example. The earth is getting warmer. And this is the semicolon. Therefore, comma, the polar ice caps are melting. And I did the same thing for this example. So if you look here, okay, you can see people are building homes in forests, semicolon. Therefore, comma, animals are losing their natural habitats. Okay, so people are building homes in forests, so animals are losing their natural habitats. When we use so, you do not need to use a semicolon, just a comma. So let's try this one more time. People are building homes in forests, so animals are losing their natural habitats. Okay, so you can see the difference here. We put a comma before the results clause, and that's it. Oops, sorry. But when we use therefore, there is a semicolon before the results clause, and then a comma after the connector. Okay? And another option is you can split this up into two sentences, of course. You can just say people are building homes in forests, and then put a period here, and then say therefore animals. Okay, I'm just going to do this. Okay, so there are multiple ways of using connectors, as you can see. Okay? Oh, all right. So moving on. I want you to look at, hold on, sorry about that. Okay. The causes and the effects in this chart. Okay, so we already did the first one here, and that's the example. And you can see each effect can also be a cause. So people are building homes in forests, and the effect is animals are losing their natural habitats. And then we can see here the same effect can also be a cause. There is habitat loss, and then that also has an effect. Animals are moving into towns and cities. And then we can see the same effect as a cause. Animals are moving into towns and cities. So the animals are frightened. Okay, and then the animals are frightened, so sometimes they attack people. Okay, so you can see each effect can also be a cause, but we're going to go ahead and practice making sentences using different connectors: because, since, therefore, and so. Okay, so take some time to make various sentences using the various connectors, and you can pause the video and continue when you're finished. Actually, you can move to part 2 of this lesson when you're finished. Move to part 2 when you're finished.